Phoebe's gonna introduce.
Okay.
Should I do a little song?
If you want to.
Okay. Fake crime. It's fake crime. Fake crime.
Wow.
Wow.
What a great intro.
Thanks. Welcome back to the podcast.
Today we're talking about
Don't Worry, Darling.
Oh, okay. I didn't get the cue.
We didn't plan it.
We just saw it. We just got home from it. It's gonna be. This will not be spoiler free.
No, this is an Oops
This
All
is gonna
Spoilers
be
podcast.
spoiler full.
Oops, all spoilers all the time. I would say if you like horror at all, I would say watch this. Watch Don't Worry, Darling,
If
and
you
then
like
come back.
like thrillers,
Yeah.
suspense,
Yeah.
Psychological
yeah.
related.
Yeah, I would say that like potential triggers for this in the least spoilery way as possible are things that are like unsettling in kind of just like a what's the word? Like not existential exactly, but when like
That's similar. That's
not
close
even-
enough.
yeah,
close.
like existentially unsettling. There is a little I don't know how to not a ton of gore, I would say.
No, I would
No.
say there's a small amount of violence.
Yeah, there's a small amount of violence. If violence is something that is upsetting to you in a big way, I would maybe do the Does the Dog Die about this, because there are some parts that are big spoilers. And then in addition to that, if you are someone who like has panic attacks or has had panic attacks, I would say they do like a really robust job of very accurately depicting at least exactly how I feel during a panic attack in regard, like specifically with like the audio. Morgan
Yeah.
was saying like the audio, what's the word? Audio.
Effects.
Yeah, but it's like
There's a word for it.
the
I can't
direct
think
like
of it.
audio direction
Yeah.
type deal. It is very impressive and incredibly unsettling. So
Yeah.
Also, like,
there's that.
if you're in like a relationship where maybe there's some gaslighting.
Oh yes.
No spoilers.
No spoilers.
But that might be something.
I feel like that's kind of clear from this. From
I
the
feel like
trailer.
that's
The
kind of
trailer,
clear,
yeah.
but I feel like when you
It's-
watch it, you're like,
It's in a bigger way than you might think in
Yeah.
regards to like the length of the scenes. Today we actually have a sponsor, which is super exciting.
I know.
Super exciting. So it's Baby Scan Embroidery. They have a very cute little Etsy shop. It was Rosie who uses she, her pronouns. I looked at my phone like I was going to pull up the email.
I was very
I guess I can pull up the email, but anyway, if you're watching us on YouTube, thank you for watching on YouTube, or just leave it on in the background for your pets or whatever, because we do, get paid for, for YouTube. But
There you
this, you can see now here, this is an example. They're just like absolutely beautiful. It's like embroidery.
I've never looked better.
It's covering
He
Hannah's.
did.
It's
This is
so
a picture
sweet.
of
It's covering
Hannah.
Hannah's sweet face, but it's this like super beautiful embroidery of an ultrasound, like a baby skin,
Yeah.
exactly what you would think. So like incredibly like personal like gift, I think. Also just generally lovely. Let me see, Rosie.
Oh, head's itchy.
Rosie.
Oh, she's been ponitailing. Yeah.
I know. I should take my hair down.
You should.
Take down your little hairs.
Take down your hairs.
Oh, nice. Okay, I think that was all Rosie had for us. Yeah, we're gonna drop the Instagram and Etsy link in the bio, in the description of all of these. In the bio, I meant the description. But anyway, yeah, Rosie is lovely, and buy a sweet present, mayhaps for
For a friend.
a friend, for yourself. Okay, and now back to the pod.
Nice.
Oh my god.
Okay, so overall, Phoebe gave it a 10 out of 10.
Yeah, I think we'll do ratings and then we'll do like a synopsis of what it was.
All right.
Yeah. Hannah, this is Hannah's second time seeing it. What's your bagel bites, Hannah?
Okay. That's so hard because I love Florence Pugh and
Yeah.
Harry. I love them
Oh yeah.
so much. I would say I'm gonna say like a 9.
Okay.
I gave it a solid 9.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say a 9.
I would say, in my opinion, except for the last, 5 minutes of the film, I maybe would have given it a 10.
Yeah.
But as we
disagree.
talked about it more, I feel more confident in my 9 that there are things that I wish were either done differently or answered.
Yeah.
more.
In terms of the plot holes, I would say that they are pretty significant, all things considered.
But I feel like I need to know.
Yeah.
What was originally, like, what the screenplay originally looks
Yeah.
like. Because,
Yeah.
are they actually plot holes?
Right.
Did they run out of time? Did
Right.
they prioritize other things?
Like, if we see a director's cut, will we get more answers?
I hope,
or will
I
we have more
hope
questions?
that we do.
Yeah, I would love like a miniseries or like a
Yeah, that would be-
novel.
That would have been so
It would,
Oh
it would
my
be such a
God.
good book.
Yeah.
But they
Okay.
never would have gotten Florence Pugh for a miniseries. She's too busy.
No,
she's
she's
got
very busy.
she's got to make pasta.
Okay, are we doing like a synopsis?
Yes.
Sorry, there's like hair all over me.
I think Hannah's seen it twice, so I do think she should do the synopsis.
Okay, I believe in that.
And I want like the plot. Like, give it to us as close as you can.
Okay,
As
well,
quickly as you can.
No, that's
I was
okay.
gonna say because it's gonna take a while.
No. Yeah, no
Okay.
judgment. I mean, yeah, if you can do 3-minute plot of this film, that'd be great. If you
Again, this
can't-
is full of spoilers.
this is
Yeah.
Oops Only Spoilers podcast. So click away.
I'm so sorry. Okay. Okay, well, I mean, the whole movie is like, big spoiler, it's a simulation.
Right.
So the whole movie, you're like, I think it's beautiful because it's all like 1950s,
Yeah.
and you're following like these couples,
Yeah.
who the husbands have like a job that's like super, super, super top secret. The wives literally they can't know anything about it. They know
Right.
it's like like they're making, what do they say? The whole movie
Progressive.
resources, or
Something like that. Like
materials for
progressive.
progressive.
Yeah.
It's
For
like
progression.
you think it's like a weapon, or like you think it's like nuclear warfare the whole
Yeah.
time, and it's the 50s, so you're like super in it. Yeah. So the wives literally have no idea.
I thought it was gonna be aliens.
You thought
That
it was
would've
going to
been
be
really fun.
alien. Well, I think we should talk about like what actually happened. So
Yeah.
we enter the film.
Yeah, and it's not, you don't know it's a simulation.
No.
But
Yeah,
it's-
that's a big twist.
that's a huge twist.
Late, like 3/4 in.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the husbands have the job. The wives literally have been asked to stay within Victory, within this community that they've built. That's like,
Yeah.
it's a gated community in like the middle of the desert. I'm sure it's like New Mexico, Arizona vibes. And the wives, buy things and they shop, and that's literally. And
They
talk.
go to dance class. They talk to each other.
They cook.
They don't
so
go
much.
anywhere else. It's giving experimental prototype community of tomorrow.
Yeah.
Very much
Yeah.
so. It's giving what Walt Disney intended Epcot to be, like a community that's like exists within itself and nothing else happens really.
And the guy who is running it all is named Frank, and he's like very he's cult leader vibes from day one.
Oh,
yeah,
You're never you
There's
don't
like
ever
a huge
trust
picture
him.
of him at the dance studio. Did you see
Yeah,
that?
just like in the
Yeah.
background. So like Frank's like always there, and everyone like respects Frank to the point of obviously him being like a cult leader.
Right.
And like all these men are like getting these promotions, and they're so important to the company.
Right.
And like if something goes really wrong, they get fired, and everyone's like, no, you can't do anything wrong.
Right.
You can't get fired. So they're all like on their best behavior, like
Especially for Frank.
entire time, especially for Frank.
Yeah.
And then eventually we realize the wives do start asking more questions. At least some of them do.
Right.
And like there's couples that are struggling more than others. And like I think like Margaret is one of the characters, and she is realizing that they're in a simulation.
Right.
Which
she
is
she clearly
so
knows
stressful.
more than everybody else, and we see this like party that they're at where they're like welcoming in this like new guy.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Oh my
and
God.
I just like didn't trust his face from the get-go.
I
was
don't
like,
know what he's in. He's in something where I can't trust him.
yeah, I don't like him. I don't like him at all. But Margaret and her husband are towards like the back of this party, and as like Frank comes out to speak with his wife, what's her name? Shelley?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who is beautiful.
That's interesting because Shelley, I doubt it was on purpose, but Shelley is also the name of the wife who's been missing since 2006 of the leader of Scientology.
Oh yeah. Shelley
Miscavige.
yeah, holy shit. Anyway, so they're like speaking, and then Margaret interrupts them to be like, hey, what does she even say? Something to
She
the
says,
effect
"Why are
of
we
like,
here?
why
Do you
are
guys
we
know why
here?
we're here?
What's happening?
We're
Do you
not
know why we're
supposed to
here?
be
We're not.
here."
Yes, we're not
Yes.
supposed to be here, which feels pointed in like a horror-y movie type way, but like I had no, you know what I mean? I was like, I don't fucking know. And so Florence is like Florence Pugh, who's her name is Alice.
Alice,
In this. So I'll try to call her Alice, but I'll probably say Miss Flo most of the time. But she's like walking around like, what the fuck's going on? Because she loses Harry Styles, whose character's name is Jack. Where does he even leave? Where is he supposed
He goes
to
to
be?
look at
He goes
Frank's
'cause
ties.
He goes to look, and he's like upset about his. If they're Frank's ties, then that was their bedroom.
Yeah, that's... Did
that
you guys
so that
not
does
get
make
that?
sense.
No, there was like computers everywhere.
It was a
computers
there
in their bedroom.
was a mirror though. Which
It's-
people have mirrors in their
It's
bedroom.
a weird room. I was like, where are they supposed to be right now? Like, it doesn't
I'm
make
sorry.
sense.
I didn't realize you guys didn't get that.
There's,
Yeah,
like-
that's why he said like the thing about the bedroom, but he clearly said it in a way so
To
that
make
other
everyone else
people
think it's sexy.
Right.
think that it's sexy.
Which
yeah.
we'll get to that later, but back in the moment where we're at now,
Yeah, they're at a huge party welcoming.
Harry Styles is off trying on that guy's ties or taking
He's
off
like
his
he's
ties.
upset
going through
that
his
he
closet.
picked the wrong tie.
Yes.
Which I think at that point we're supposed to be like, clearly Frank is like so important that Harry is
Right.
like that Jack is stressed about the tie he chose.
Yeah.
Right. Which is
weird.
It doesn't really make sense. It's weird. And so anyway, as Alice is like running around trying to figure out where he went, she sees like Margaret, who is sitting in a chair. And you guys said her husband was trying to hand her pills?
Yeah.
Which I didn't even catch. I did not
There's
catch
like
that
pills
at all.
in her, and she sees Florence Pugh and like pushes them away.
Yeah.
And
I
I
saw
don't
her
know what
push
she
his hand, but
says.
I was only looking at her face, which was distraught. Like,
Yeah.
very sort of like dead eyes, like stressed out, like not. She clearly wasn't doing well.
Yeah.
Yeah, something that's like, I don't know, something else that's sort of like weird existentially, like like we shouldn't be here, what's going on, like
Yeah.
they're lying to you, like that kind of vibes.
Anyway, and then they shut the curtain so Florence Pugh can't see
Yeah.
her anymore. She finds Harry Styles.
Yeah.
They like end up kind of like railing. Chris Pine walks in on them.
I think it's important to say, and like this isn't gonna get like too sexually explicit, but this railing is just like Florence is having the time of her life.
Yeah.
It's like a hand type situation. It's a handy that's taking place.
Yeah.
It's not, which I think is
Right.
relevant.
No, I think that's relevant because
But
I think if it was like a
It wasn't
mutually
like a-
involved thing.
Yeah, that'd be a
then
little
I think
different.
that Chris Pine wouldn't have been like watching them.
I don't know, maybe, but it was Chris Pine.
Chris Pine, the
the
cult
leader,
is
Frank. Right.
like watching them.
He's like leering over them, and clearly,
And not for like long, but
No.
like, but he's making direct eye contact with Florence Pugh.
yeah.
And she's like,
What's
I don't,
yeah.
yeah.
She's doing an incredible job of giving both H word as well as concerned.
Yeah.
Slash
Like distraught because
upset.
she's like,
'Cause she's like, what?
why is this man?
Yeah, and I think that's the first moment where I was like,
Oh,
I
we
don't really know.
We should have mentioned self-harm in the beginning
Yes.
oh.
for Margaret.
Content warning.
Just for Margaret.
That part, I was like, here's the deal. That's why I was saying that does the dog die, because I think that's
Yeah.
one of the first things people would look for in terms
That's
of like
true.
violence and like gore type things.
That's true.
Yeah, so that happens. Creepy. And then what even is next? They go
Basically, through the next 20 minutes, there's different things that happen to Florence Pugh where she's like, something's not right. She like tries to crack some eggs.
Yeah.
They're empty. She she's like cleaning her windows and like the wall like closes in on her. That
Oh
part's
my
in the
God.
trailer. I
It's
think
Yeah.
so good.
the eggs are in the trailer too. Things like that you've basically, I feel like the whole trailer happens in that 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And then basically like things start to get worse. She sees a plane crash that apparently no one else saw.
Yeah.
And so she walks like basically to the end of the desert.
She's on like this
to
trolley.
see-
She's the last one on the trolley,
Yeah.
and then she's like trying to convince the trolley driver to like go and like take her there so she can make sure the person's okay. She's like, you're insane for not wanting to like go and walk
Yeah.
and make sure that person's fine. And then she gets to this like weird sort of like
like a dome.
triangular
It's like a dome
domey
building.
With a lot of, like,
pyramid.
windows.
Yeah, it's got a lot of like windows.
Mirrored windows, I
Yeah,
guess.
mirrored windows, and she touches it, and then there's sort of like this weird like there's like a blood drop and like an eyeball. It's like a lot of
Like
like
dilating.
weird imagery, and then all of a sudden she wakes up and she's
in her bed.
in her bed,
In the same outfit.
and
Jack is so not stressed.
no, Jack is like, oh my god, hey, and she's like, how long have you been home? And he's like, a couple of hours, and she's like, what are you doing? He's like, oh, I'm cooking dinner, and she's like, was I here when you got here? Because that doesn't make any sense, because I was just struggling and like trying to help a person whose like plane crashed, like I couldn't find them. And he's like, oh my god, no, you were just like passed out. I think you were just really tired, lol. And like he's not stressed. He's
Yeah.
like saying that he's making dinner and that some of like the courses didn't work out, so he's sort of like failing at making food. And then he's got like this like container of alcohol.
He's got like a decanter.
Yeah, it's like a decanter, and he's got like a bowl of potatoes, and he's like ramming the decanter like into these raw potatoes.
Yeah.
And he's like, these mashed potatoes look like shit, and she's like, oh, haha, you have to boil them, you stupid baby. And he's like, I'm
They're
gonna
having
boil
like
the potatoes.
Yeah, like a cute moment where
It's
she's like,
super
okay,
cute.
I guess I had a weird dream, like whatever.
Right.
Anyway, a couple more weird things happen.
Yeah.
Eventually like the like things just keep getting weirder for her. The friend Margaret from the beginning
Yeah.
calls Florence Pugh and says, I know that you saw something.
Yeah.
Like tell me what you saw. I know that you saw something. I
Yeah.
know, like we're not crazy. I'm not crazy.
Right.
And Florence Pugh is like trying to ignore her. And
She's
then,
like, this is getting ridiculous. You have
Yeah.
to stop.
Yeah, she's like, what's your deal? And then
Florence Pugh witnesses Margaret trying to
yeah, Florence is at a dance studio, and then she has these like vibes about Margaret more than
Yeah.
anything else. She thinks she sees her smacking her head, which is another self-harming type deal.
Yeah.
But smack her head into the mirror, and then she's like,
But she's
what
the only
fuck?
one who can see it.
Yeah, so she screams and she runs back, and then Margaret like cuts her throat open. It's,
And then like falls backwards off the roof.
yes,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden these dudes in red jumpsuits come in and they're like taking her out, and Florence is like screaming. She's like, what the fuck is going on? And so she's like, you know, having an emotional breakdown.
Yeah.
Then we see her with like this doctor who's in charge of the place, and her and Harry Styles and this doctor are like all chatting, and they're like, we really should get you on medication, and she's like, no, 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 and it's feeling very Stepford Wives,
Yeah.
right? And he's
Yeah.
like,
And
no,
Harry's
like, Margaret's
like-
fine.
Harry's like, no, it's fine.
Yeah.
No, we don't. She doesn't need medication. Like, he's clearly defending her.
Yes, which makes you think like, oh, okay, he's like on her side, like he gets it, like
Yeah.
he cares about her, he doesn't.
He gets
want
that she
her.
doesn't trust the doctor, so he doesn't want her to take.
Right?
his
Yeah, he
medicine.
doesn't want her to do something that's not going to be good for her. And then what's next?
And the doctor's like, well, Margaret's fine. She needed a few stitches.
Right.
And
She's embarrassed
and
more than
Florence
anything
Pugh,
else because they're
yeah.
like giving this narrative that she fell off the roof instead of her trying to kill herself.
Right.
Yeah, and Florence Pugh's like, a few stitches.
Yeah. She's like, I saw all the
don't really
blood,
think that's
baby case.
possible. She steals his file
Yeah.
about Margaret, and everything's redacted.
Yeah, there's
So at
nothing
that
really
point,
in
you're
it.
kind of like, why is he carrying around
Literally.
a file that's fully redacted?
And it's a full, yeah, it doesn't make any sense for him to have that, for him to have left his briefcase, for her to then
unless-
burn it.
Unless, well, this is not the synopsis whatsoever, but
Right.
unless it's Frank, and he's like,
Right.
because he's been, I think
Fucking
he's
with
been
her.
slowly fucking with her.
Yeah. So that's taking place, and
The
then...
party, the huge party.
Oh my
with
Yeah,
god,
huge party
there's
the
a
next
very
thing.
like Jay Gatsby style party. This really interesting scene with this woman who's a stripper who ends up in a martini glass.
It's
Frank,
Dita Von Teese.
she's beautiful.
Who is
I have
that?
no idea.
Oh,
who
she's
that
very
is.
famous.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
For what?
For being like pinup
Oh,
but like
okay.
in
Oh.
like right now. Yeah.
She's
for
beautiful.
her.
She's
Yeah.
super cute. But like sort of like the faces that she's making and like the like way that she's moving around, it just like very much felt like a power dynamic-y, weird, misogynistic, like I don't know, like she's beautiful and
Yeah.
lovely, but these men are like I don't know. The vibes of it were clearly supposed to be like kind of stressful. What?
She's professionally known as a burlesque dancer, model, and businesswoman.
Good
So like,
for
that's her
her.
whole thing.
Oh,
It's
well,
like she's
good
very,
for her.
she's just known for being hot.
Listen, she's
Yeah.
very hot. She did a great job. And then Florence Pugh is having an emotional breakdown in the bathroom, being like, no, like I saw my friend die. Like this is super fucked up. Like
Yeah.
I ran to the edge of whatever. And she's talking to Bunny, who's Olivia Wilde, who the reason we haven't mentioned her until now is because she's not relevant, kind of at all in the movie, but especially
Bunny's
to
just
this
like a
moment.
friend with no.
She just shows up every now and then to like give you little clues as to what's really going on.
to like
and
deliver
then
plot points
goes
and then
away.
yeah, which is kind of a weird flex. But anyway, basically she's like, what's going on? And then she's like gaslighting the shit out of Florence
Yeah,
Pugh.
and
She's like, no,
don't. You're gonna end up like Margaret. Shut up.
yeah,
basically.
she's like,
Yeah.
you're wrong. Like, this is stupid. And then Harry Styles, meanwhile, is on stage with Chris Pine, Frank, doing this like absurd
Like puppet dance.
little
So long.
flaily, very. And I think it was so long because they're trying to juxtapose those two things. So like, Florence is losing her mind as Harry is
And
like
Jack
flailing.
has no idea.
No.
He's just dancing around a stage, being told what to do because he just got a promotion.
And his face is weird the whole time, and you're like, okay, like,
Yeah.
all right. Yeah, he gets a promotion. We're like, whoa. And then Bunny's like, Olivia Wilde is like, Florence, you're ruining Harry Styles' life right
It's the
now.
biggest
That's
day of
very
his life."
stressful. Like,
Yeah.
oh my God. And she's like, no, what the fuck? And then,
Then the next night, Florence Pugh is like acting normal.
yeah,
Like everything's fine. She's not stressed out anymore.
yeah,
She has a party, invites Frank.
yeah.
Basically, like at the dinner table, confronts Frank because moments earlier, when it was just the two of them, he like confirmed that she's not crazy. Basically,
Yeah.
He's like, I can't wait to see
What
like,
happens
what
what you
happens
say
and,
next.
like, what you do.
Yeah, he's like, I've been waiting for a worthy adversary. And it's like a dinner party with like all the other couples who are also in Victory. And so she's basically like, hey, how did you and your husband meet? That's so weird. That's how all of us and all of our husbands met. Where'd you guys go on honeymoon?
Oh, one of these three
three
places?
places that we all also did that? Oh, did you drop your ticket and find it? Isn't that so interesting? And as she's saying things, you're like, she's making points. Like,
Yeah.
all of these things make sense. And it's also kind of weird because you're like, why wasn't she saying this before? Like,
Yeah.
how is she like so clear right now? And she
Yeah.
was not this clear previously. As Chris Pine is like just gaslighting the shit out of her, and it's an
Yeah.
incredibly directed scene where he's just basically like, no, you're fucking unhinged, you don't know what you're saying, like this is ridiculous. And they kind of get to this like yelling match like climax point where eventually Shelley, his wife, is like, hey, shut the fuck up, you're wrong.
Yeah,
What
and
the
then she's
fuck
like,
is
I'm
going
leaving.
on?
How
And-
dare you invite my husband and I here just to
Right.
yell at him, and Victory's as extraordinary as he is.
Yeah, so a whole bunch of like buzzwordy nonsense that doesn't make any sense, but all the other couples are like, yeah. And that previously, right before that, Chris Pine was like, you remember in my bedroom, Florence Pugh? Implying as if they boned, which clearly they
Right.
didn't. He means when he was watching her and Harry Styles.
Bone and
Which,
his
like,
brain.
what? I
Yeah. Weird flex.
I don't. Yeah.
Weird flex of him to bring up.
Totally good argument. He's like, what about when you're having a good time?
Yeah. What about
What about that?
what about we made eye contact?
Yeah.
Weird.
You think about that?
Very weird.
Ever consider that?
And he literally to Harry Styles is like, I think you've overserved your wife. And they're like, wow, Florence is drunk and crazy. And then they all leave, and then Florence is like sobbing, and she's like, hey, we're in love. It's just you and me, Harry Styles. Like, it's gonna be okay, just you and me forever. Like, we're gonna do
She's
great.
like, let's leave.
And he's like, okay, let's do it. And I think this is the first time I want to watch it again, but I think this is the first time he says I love you, because previously,
yes,
there's a scene.
It is.
There's a scene
where he says you love me.
Where he says, you love me. And she's like, I do. And I was like, no. That doesn't fucking sit right with me. But anyway, she says, I love you. And he says, I love you. And she says, I love you again. And then she's like, okay, pack your fucking bag. We're leaving. We're going to get in the car. There's also a weird theme where, like, she can't drive for some reason.
None of them can drive. Well,
No.
just because they're keeping them away from
From
the
the car, basically, is what they're, like, trying to do. But anyway, so she's like, okay, like, let's fucking go. So they're in the car. And it's like, Harry's like, I'm so sorry, I don't want to do this to you. And she's like, huh, what? And he's like, I didn't want to do it. And then they're both,
I tried to stop it from happening.
and then they're both screaming. And the red men who took Margaret out are now grabbing Florence Pugh and like dragging her out of the car. She's doing the most incredible face acting any of us have ever seen in our lives. She deserves every award. She looks so distressed. And he's like shrieking and like jamming his head into the whatever. And I'm like, whoa, Harry's really a bad guy. Wild. And then after that,
electroshock therapy.
is next.
she's getting electroshock therapy, and you're like, oh my god, they're in the 1950s, all of these wives are getting electroshock therapy, this is bonkers. And in that moment, we flash back to Florence Pugh as a fucking doctor performing surgery. Performing surgery, and she gets home to her shitty incel boyfriend listening to his podcasts.
Which is Chris Pine.
Right.
Yes, sorry, Chris Pine's podcast. It's Harry Styles, and he looks like shit.
Yeah.
And he's got this, like, scruffly incel, like, oh my god, he's
so bad.
He's greasier than we've ever seen him before. He's unkempt, he's not showered, and he's, like, trying to, like, snuggle up on her and be like, oh, what if we rail? And she's like, bitch, I had so much.
She's like, I worked a 30-hour shift. Like, I have to go back in 6 hours. Like, I just want to sleep. Like, please leave me alone.
Yeah.
And he's like, I never see you. I'm so hungry.
And he didn't have any food for her.
Right.
And he was like, well, you didn't tell me what you wanted.
Yeah.
You never answer me. And
Right.
she's like, I'm in the OR. Like, no, I'm
She's
not
like,
answering.
I can't
I'm not
text
on my phone.
while I'm doing
And
surgery.
like their hot water wasn't working, and
Yeah.
she tries to wash her hands, and he's like, "Oh, it's not working." And she's like, "What? They couldn't come today?" And he's like, "Yeah, I didn't tell you that though." And she's like, "So there's okay, I'm going to bed."
Right. She's like, I just want to take a shower.
Their relationship is
Not doing
very
well.
strange.
Yeah.
Not doing well. And so, yeah, I don't even.
So then you see like a bunch of different scenes of Harry Styles like going through all these processes to get approved to be in Project Victory.
Yeah.
No, but I think first she wakes up and they have like a welcome party, and they're like, "Everything's good,
that's
Alice." Because then later, that's when
they put her back in again.
They put her back in, and then it's
yeah.
not until everything's not good, because she very quickly is like realizing, like this is bad again.
Everything that's happening, yeah.
And then that's kind of when they're like, when they flash back and they're like, well, you know, she's realizing all of these things. And they kind of go through how, because she's realizing it as we are supposed to be realizing it,
right?
So we realize that they have a strained relationship. But at that point, we don't know anything
how they got there.
And then all of a sudden she's like, something's really wrong, and he's like, no, it's just an episode, just breathe.
Yeah, she's having a panic attack. Like, the audio direction is incredible. It's like going like in and out. It's like she like can't hear, and it gets like really tinny. And then because she heard him like singing twice essentially, so she hears him singing while he's like doing something at the record player, and then it sounds like she's hearing him in real life humming as he's like
in her ear
doing something to her body in real life is what it looks like.
It looks like
point,
he's like zipping up like compression socks.
Yes, something. Yeah, because at that point we see her with her like eyes, and there's these like lasers that are over them that are like scanning them, so that it looks like he's like putting like water in her mouth so that she's hydrated, and she's got like an IV and like all these other things.
Yeah.
So he's like doing something to her physically, like clearly like very like caringly, as he's singing the song to her because he loves her so much, but he's unhinged. He's an unhinged evil abuser person, which is wild. But so, oh my god. Anyway, then they have the welcome party, and she's realizing all this stuff, and oh my god.
And then he's like almost not really has her convinced. But he's like, no, our life was so stressful. Your life was so stressful, and she's like, no, it was my life. It's amazing. And she's like yelling at him.
She's like, you don't get to decide that like I didn't like my life enough to keep it.
Right.
Like,
but she's also like on the brink of being like, but things obviously are like simpler, and she doesn't say anything, but you can see her like internal struggle until she realizes that all of the wives are trapped there.
Yes. And she's
that's
like,
when
what
she's
about
like,
the children?
You can see her getting like so enraged.
Yeah.
And that's when she hits him with a cup and kills him.
Yes. And so then all these alarms are going off, and we find out that the men... Okay, Olivia Wilde says... This is the worst part of the whole movie.
Yeah,
she says the men, when they die
when the men die in the simulation...
They also die in real life.
Yeah.
And
she's like, they're gonna kill you. They're gonna kill your real body.
Right.
They're gonna kill you in real life.
Which doesn't make sense.
Yes.
Because it sounds like they're going to find her in her apartment where she's
in
at
New York
and get her. So she needs to get out of the simulation as quickly as possible so she can run in real life.
And there's only one place to get out, and it's at that weird dome.
Yeah, it's at the dome that she was at initially, which I also don't think makes any sense. Which what?
I've earmarked.
Yeah, we'll come back to it. But anyway, basically she makes it out. It's her sprinting. All the wives
There's a car chase.
Are bad bitches. She like walks out with like this
Shelley
blood all
kills
over her.
Frank.
Yeah.
Bunny starts telling
the last
her
like
life story.
10 minutes I feel like is the worst part of the movie.
Really?
I loved the car chase.
Yeah, I thought it was fun.
I just thought that was fun. And I love to see, a beautiful woman driving a car in the desert with stupid men who can't catch her.
Like, oh my God.
I mean, obviously.
Yeah.
Who doesn't want that? But I feel like, I think that we were talking about in the car about how at the end you're kind of like, well, does she make it? And I don't think that anyone's ever I don't think anyone's answered it yet.
Yeah.
I'm certain she does because she has the same sequence as when the first time that she touches it in the desert.
Yeah.
And I think that last time what happened is Harry Styles was able to just shove her back in really quick without her realizing it.
Right.
And then this time obviously he can't do that. So I think she touches her hands, wakes up.
And that's the other thing is when she kills him, he's she's having an episode and he's grabbing onto her, and the way that she's having a panic attack, it seems like he's crushing her in real life. He is. Yeah. It seems like that's what's happening.
But he's also definitely there in the simulation.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
So I think he's crushing her in real life.
Yeah, so it doesn't really make sense. But
also you hear her bones cracking. Right. When she's being smashed with
I feel like
the
whole thing doesn't make any sense because let's be honest, if Frank is smart enough to create this simulation, there's no reason the women in real life need to be in captivity. He could just, if he created the children that are fake and not real, why couldn't he just create wives that are fake and not real?
Bad.
And the children are pretty bad, but I feel like the whole thing is a horror movie about control and power dynamics. And so that's why the wives have to be the real people. Because Harry Styles, creepy Harry, is delusional in that he's like, I've made this life for you. I leave during the day so that I can work to pay for this simulation so you can be in this perfect life so that you can be happy here. But there's a part of him that doesn't want to kill her. Clearly he doesn't think they should just make you up in the simulation. Obviously, regardless of whether that's what it's supposed to be or not, that's what it feels like.
I also feel like the reason why they had it be real people is because we have the realization, oh my God, this man is trapped, either his ex-girlfriend or his very soon to be ex-girlfriend in a simulation. And when they're going through all the paces of his psychiatric evaluation and whatnot, it says chosen wife Alice McCullough or whatever it was, and then it's previous relationship, yes. And so then at that point, I'm oh my God, this new guy, Bill, and his tiny wife, Violet.
Oh, yeah.
She's definitely kidnapped.
He kidnapped the shit out of
her. There's absolutely no way they know each other. They have no chemistry. She's so confused. She's like, Bill told me we had a honeymoon.
Yeah.
He says just jet lag.
She's like, everything's really blurry when we first meet her, and we're like, okay, I don't know.
Bunny and Nick Kroll, obviously we find out that Bunny knows it's a simulation, but Bunny and Nick Kroll, that they know each other.
Yeah.
And you can tell Alice and Jack do too.
Right.
At least you feel while you're watching, you're this is a couple. This isn't two random people.
And they're cute. You're watching them and you're
really cute.
They're really into each other. They're very sweet. Look at this picture perfect world they've created. Holy shit. Did we say the Olivia Wilde saying that she knew that it was a simulation and that her children are not real? Because at one point Alice is like, oh my God, the children, holy shit, there's children in here. And Harry's like, no, they're not real. Don't worry about the children. They're fake. And then Olivia Wilde is like, you have to get the fuck out of here, Florence. And she's like, oh my God, you know that it's real? That everything here is fake? And she's like, yes. And she's like, your children aren't real. And then Olivia Wilde is like, no, they are. They're alive here. Here they're alive. Which
for someone who's children apparently died in real life, and you've now made a simulation version of them.
Right.
You'd think you'd like them more and spend more time with them.
Right.
It's so true. Because Alice is like, your kids like me better than you, haha. And if my kids died and I was living in a simulation to keep them alive,
I'd make them like me.
I would be like, you can't joke that my kids like you more. And she doesn't spend any time with them.
No. She's always annoyed by them.
She does a lot of we don't see that much of her interacting with them even. It seems like they should have been more relevant. I just feel like Bunny, like, wasn't that relevant. It's also weird to me that Florence Pugh was supposed to play Bunny. Obviously, the drama around Don't Worry, Darling, that's like a separate podcast episode.
There's like a lot of people speculating that like none of it's real, that they did all this just to get people to see the movie, and honestly, I wouldn't care.
Oh, I don't give a shit. It's a good movie.
It's interesting.
I really liked it. I went in with like a very, very low bar. In terms of the crimes that take place in this movie, in terms of the very fake crimes.
There's gaslighting.
Well,
kidnapping.
Yeah. Keeping your surgeon of a wife.
Oh my God, yeah.
Hostage?
Yeah. Yes.
With compression socks?
Yeah.
That's a crime.
Absolutely a crime.
Locking her in a bed?
I would...
The film being almost all white people.
I was going to say, on the kind of like goofier / different, more serious note, I would say mostly the film being all white people, mostly white people, and then like the one black woman dying fairly quickly.
Yeah.
And also I've like heard that most of her scenes got cut, and like she, to me, was much more compelling than Olivia Wilde.
I would have what I would have wanted is for like a person of color. I would have loved for Alice's best friend to be a person of color. I think that would have been...
It seemed like they should have been best friends.
I think also if they had a person of color, I think it would have made more sense if Bunny was a person of color, because she could have said, here I have like more opportunities. Here I have like my kids are alive. Here I don't have to worry about police. Like that would have made a lot more sense.
And honestly,
we see Margaret for 20 seconds, and I care so much more about her.
And it's relevant to say that we are white, so that's not a story that we should be writing. And I don't know that that's a story that Olivia Wilde should be directing. And I do feel like she did a pretty good job with this.
I like the
An additional crime would be the greasiness of Creepy Harry.
They went above and beyond.
Oh my God.
They said, how do we make him creepy? And they said, just barely change him and make him look a little more dead.
They did a great job. I will say we all really appreciated that they didn't have him with like a fake nose or like fake teeth.
Or like an exaggerated brow bone. No. Or like something that like, like Disney.
It was clearly him, but just greasier and caring less about like impressing his like wife who's working really hard.
Yeah, and that's like what you should do if you're trying to make someone look gross and creepy in a movie, is you should not give them what we would consider like non-typical, not conventionally attractive
like
features.
They didn't put him in a fat suit or anything.
Yeah, exactly.
They did put him in worse clothes.
Oh my God, yeah.
But I also just like dirty clothes. Like he clearly like doesn't take care of himself. They were dirty. We were also talking about how you can take anyone and put them in like a well-tailored suit in the 50s with a haircut, like who looks like Harry Styles.
Yeah.
And then if you have that person look like they don't care about themselves or, anybody else, which not necessarily you have to take care of yourself to like, be a happy person, but I think if you take anyone and do that kind of contrast, you're going to think he's gross even if like,
Yeah, it's honestly less about him visually and more about I think he was a really good actor. Another crime, I would say. Yeah, people saying that Harry Styles did a bad job.
Saying he did so bad. There was one moment I didn't love, and honestly, it wasn't bad.
People kept on being like, "Oh, Harry Styles is a terrible actor. He did a shit job. Like, you don't like care for this character at all." And I feel like when he's being sexy, Jack, is that his name?
Yeah.
When he's being sexy, Jack, he does a great job because he's just got this slight eye deadness.
Yeah.
And if it wasn't intentional, then it's great casting. I don't give a shit. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like it was.
But I think that like I think what he did what he was told to do.
Yeah.
So people, it's like when Kristen Stewart is like, people are like, she's such a bad actress in
Twilight. I know.
And
that's like she was told to do that.
Yeah. She was perfect in Twilight.
That's the note she was given.
Yeah.
What were you gonna say, baby?
I was gonna say it's similar to like how everyone felt like every man in Mamma Mia did bad, but like they're playing against Meryl Streep.
I was going to say, they're just not as cool as Meryl Streep.
And so it's not their fault. Yeah. They're doing fine. She's just being Meryl Streep.
Yeah.
As she should.
An additional crime would be just everything that has happened to Florence Pugh.
Yeah.
I would die for
I would love for her to be in a nice... I want her and Evan Peters to just be in a nice rom-com where the worst thing that happens is they break up because they're sad.
That would be great. Also, like, this whole drama, I can't imagine how that's going for her. Yeah. That's so stressful. Well, she shouldn't have to...
She's filming Dune, Hopefully she's over... where they're filming Dune.
I don't want to have to see Dune. I didn't know she was in it.
Oh, yeah.
She's in the first one.
Is she in the first one?
Yeah.
I think so.
Because that's why she was late to the Venice Film Festival, they said, was because she was flying in from... Yeah, but then we saw a video of her just walking around drinking wine, so...
Honestly,
with her grandma.
That's a good reason to be late.
Good for her.
She took her grandma.
Yeah, I know. That's so sweet. And I think her mom, too, right?
Oh, did she? I saw her grandma.
She seems lovely. Obviously, this is a very parasocial
Florence
relationship.
Pugh, if you're watching this and you want to hang out, we won't bother you.
That's true.
Or in a sexy way.
We would just look at you like this.
We would say, you deserve a little break. I hope she's having a little break.
She seriously, I mean, I love her already, but when I was watching it the first time, I was like, anytime she's on the screen, you just literally don't doubt her for a second.
No.
You're watching her and you're like,
oh my God, she's
if
so
she was
good.
the cult leader, I would join the cult.
Oh my God, in a second.
That's Midsommar.
Yeah.
That's true.
I think we should talk about Chris Pine's tight little pants for a moment.
And his what do you call it? His dainty waist.
His dainty little hips.
Listen, that outfit, he's never looked better.
He looks so cute.
He's wearing a crop top, very tight
Oh
pants.
my God.
Is it a crop top?
It was a crop
because
top.
he's wearing high-waisted pants.
I thought it was tucked in.
No, it's like just cropped. Barely over the edge of his pants.
Yeah,
That's so funny.
He looked cute. I want that shirt.
Oh, I would say the real crime is that they don't tell you how much you're going to see Florence Pugh's nipples in the trailer.
Oh my God.
But you are going to see them a lot.
Content warning.
Well, I mean, not
horny warning.
Through a shirt, to be fair.
That's true.
Yeah, but you can see them.
Yeah, but I think there's other movies where you can actually see her, because I watched an interview with Chris Pine where he was talking about her like burying it all. Not in this movie, in a different movie.
Oh.
And I was like, oh. And I thought he was talking about this movie, and I was like, oh, does he mean emotionally? I'm a little bit confused.
The opposite of a crime is the fact that there are 2 sex scenes between Harry Styles and Florence Pugh, and in both of them, Florence is just like exclusively receiving, and I love that for her.
If that's what women directors give us,
yeah.
Olivia Wilde said that was really important to her. However, I will say that, like, I know that's a huge reason why Florence Pugh was really angry, because all people were talking about was the sex scene between the two of them.
And what I want to say really quick is a surprise.
I think like they shouldn't have, like Morgan was saying, it was talked about so much beforehand.
It's the first thing that came out about the movie was that clip.
They were like,
that's unfortunate.
I didn't even know what the movie was about. Going down on Florence Pugh.
Yeah, they're like, please watch it. Look how sexy it is.
That's not great.
And she was like, I work really hard on this film.
Listen, to be clear, all I want to say about that sex scene is like, I just feel like it was nice. Like I don't know that I've seen a lot of in just like very like standard like movies, you know what I mean? Like obviously there's
listen,
like
if you were secretly as greasy Harry Styles is, that's what you'd be doing. You know what I mean?
I think that's what any
you'd be
of us,
worshiping the ground she works on. That's true.
I think that's what any of us would be doing. Not in like a way of being like Florence Pugh is like, you know, but I thought it was nice.
Yeah.
I feel like you don't see a lot of that in media, so I thought that was nice. I don't really know how I feel about Olivia Wilde in general, especially with like all the Shia LaBeouf nonsense.
I don't feel like I know enough to really have a big opinion.
No, but it seems like shady. I mean, we don't know anything about anything.
Shady's the perfect word.
We famously know absolutely nothing. But
yeah, I don't know.
I don't know that it's a cute look necessarily to like be sending weird like voice FaceTime videos to someone who's like a known abuser, as far as I understand. And like again, I don't know.
I'm talking about how they'll work it out.
It just seems
like,
weird. It seems weird.
And then people said that they fired him, and then he said that he left.
As a
I saw an interview with her talking to one of the Jimmys. I don't remember which one.
There's so many.
I know.
So many Jimmys.
Where basically he was saying like genuine, or maybe it was Stephen Colbert. Doesn't matter. They're all white men. One of the millions of late night men was like, okay, seriously, I feel like you haven't answered the question. Like, did you fire him or did he walk away? And then she's like tripping over her words again, and he's like, okay, tell me if I'm wrong. What it sounds like is like kind of both is true. Like, it sounds like you were like, well, if you can't do what I'm asking, then we're gonna have to fire you. And he was like, you can't fire me, I quit. And she's like, that's kind of closer to what happened. Is that true? I have no idea, but I did watch a video of her saying that.
Interesting. I feel like a lot of the reason why people disliked Olivia Wilde previous to this was misogyny. Yeah. I don't think it's cool to just hate somebody for maybe making out with Harry Styles.
Yeah.
Or perhaps visibly making out with Harry Styles. If that was the case, good for her.
The other thing that I saw is people hated her just for being friends with Amber Heard, and I don't know how well read you guys are on the Amber Heard Johnny Depp thing. I'm not very well read on it.
That shit's shady though. It is shady.
No, I don't think it's cool to be like, I hate this celebrity because here's 4 pictures of them laughing with another celebrity.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, all celebrities, when there are cameras around, are going to be nice to each other.
Right.
You have no idea if they're friends. Even if they were, I don't know if I necessarily, like, how I felt about, like, I didn't watch the trial, I wasn't there.
No, but all of it seems sketchy. And
it's giving misogyny to me.
And then in addition to that, I just don't think it's a cute look to be in charge of something, to be the boss, to make yourself a very important character, to cut people of color out of it. I don't know if it was her choice to do that.
Yeah.
And then to date the
lead actor.
The hottest lead no, sorry, that was a lie. To date the hottest man lead actor of it. Obviously Florence Pugh. Holy shit.
I also heard that Olivia Wilde obviously has been the director the whole time, but they went through like several editors that quit.
Interesting.
And like other people, like crew members who worked on the thing. No, but and then I saw a tweet that was like 40 of the cast and crew from Don't Worry Darling have like gone on record saying that it was a nice, healthy work environment. Then I saw a tweet that was like, if you have to find 40 people just to make them say that it was, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's not cute. Weird. Have y'all seen that TikTok of that boy saying that he is the USB runner, the USB script runner for...
I think I have seen this.
It's fake. It's a joke that he's doing. He did it just to be dramatic on the internet, but he's like, I actually took the script revisions on a USB to Shia LaBeouf, and I saw him. It was just so fun. He's just like making shit up and being goofy, but it was cute. As people were all there's too much celebrity drama going on.
Yeah, I did see some cute like behind the scenes clips of the movie, and like like Nick Kroll has posted a lot.
I saw that Nick Kroll
did a great job.
He's so cute.
He's so cute.
And the new season of Big Mouth comes out like next week. I'm very excited.
So exciting.
I feel like he like so many. I was saying in the car that like Chris Pine talked super early on about how much like he respected Harry like coming to set so early and being like there for everyone's scenes even though he wasn't in them. Like he was clearly like so excited to watch people who are so good at their craft.
Yeah.
And like I feel like he had absolutely no reason to say that unless he truly meant it, because at that point there was no drama. Like we didn't know anything about the movie.
Yeah.
And like we've seen like Nick Kroll post a lot of like behind the scenes.
It really does seem like Nick Kroll and Harry Styles are friends, which I appreciate.
They're so cute.
I wonder if he's going to be in the new season of Big Mouth.
Oh that would be God.
Can you imagine a little British?
They don't ever announce like anything until the season comes out.
Until it's happening.
Because like Hugh Jackman was in the last season for like 2 scenes.
Yeah.
That's really funny. Because they really seem like they're actors. But they do really seem like they're friends. And, like, at the Venice Film Festival, like, everyone seemed like they were having a good time besides Olivia Wilde. Like, if you see everybody... God. And she didn't seem like she was having a bad time.
No, but it was weird. Her vibes were weird. And
maybe even if nothing's wrong, it seems like she's under the most scrutiny. So I think it'd be fair.
That's true, yeah. Absolutely.
I think her and Harry are definitely... I can't wait. I hope 10 years from now we hear
yeah. I'd love to see the documentary about it. Coming back to the Harry thing, I don't think that his American accent was that bad.
No, I don't think so.
I didn't say that much. I am curious if in the original script when they were going to have Shia, if he was just going to be American the whole time.
Oh, I bet he was.
Like if his accent was bad in a long...
Yeah. I bet they were like...
Or inconsistent.
Sorry we're getting you on this film so late. We're going to make it as easy as possible. So you don't have to be with a dialect coach. We're just going to let you be British. And I think that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense for him to want to be as sexy as possible. And also everyone thinks that Harry Styles is as sexy as possible.
Also, I feel like it would be weird. Not that obviously we don't know the world where Don't Worry Darling came out without Harry Styles, but like her real name's Gemma. What's her name in the movie? Shelley. Shelley is British in real life, and she's British. I'm pretty sure she is, because her and Harry, I guess, have known each other for a long time.
Oh, that's really cute.
But she's British in the movie, and if she was the only one that was British, I would have been suspicious of her from the beginning, because anytime one person has an accent, I'm like, I mean, if it was Chris Pine, I would have been like, okay, fuck this guy, you know, like he's the only one with an accent. Come on, there's got to be something going on, because usually like that like means something. Yeah, there's like symbolism in them having an accent. So I would be curious to know like if anyone else was going to have an accent, because Florence Pugh, I mean, obviously she's British, and
God. She's so talented.
I would say the real most unrealistic thing is that if I am waking up looking like Florence Pugh and my only job is keep house clean, make dinner, have sex with Harry Styles, I wouldn't care if it was a simulation.
Now, I love you so much. That sounds like you.
Yeah. I think she cared the most. She didn't care as much when she found out that she was in a simulation. I mean, she was mad. But then once she found out other people were trapped, I think that's also where I would draw the line.
And it was also like her finding out that decision had been made for her.
Yeah.
Like she's like screaming at him being like, you don't get to choose that for me. True. And that's true. And it wasn't also like him like bringing her flowers and like that other flashback. It seems like they had broken up.
Yeah.
Like and
his hair was like much longer, so I assumed they had broken up.
Yeah,
for sure. My question is, so there's like a flash for a second where she is in the simulation and she is seeing like from the head, like she's looking down on like someone's legs being dragged. The first time I saw it, I thought that was Florence Pugh, but the second time I saw it, I was like, those look a lot like Harry Styles' legs.
I thought they were Harry Styles' legs.
But I'm very confused on how that would happen.
So I would love if the director's cut came out and it was actually Florence Pugh the whole time. Because that's what it looked like, just for a second. Yeah. Because it looked like Harry Styles' legs.
Yeah.
It did not look like Florence Pugh is tan and she's so short.
They were hairy legs, right? Which is fine. Yeah. But is it because theoretically he had knocked her out and was moving her to another location? Like maybe that was what it was supposed to be.
Like a still of it.
They were very pale legs though, and nothing wrong with if Florence Pugh has very pale legs, but like they did. No, we've all seen Harry Styles.
No, but you see Harry and Pugh. You see Harry, Miss Flo. You see Styles and Pugh. Yeah. You see Florence Pugh's legs quite a bit in the movie, and they're tan. You see Harry. I mean, yes, in real life he's tan.
I also feel like he has little like chickeny legs. He does. And she has
he has like runner's legs, okay? He does.
All right, well, I'm a lesbian, but Florence Pugh has like beautiful legs. Yeah, they're so beautiful.
Yeah, she's got.
If they were hairy, they would also be beautiful. But
no, like it looked like hairy. I need to know.
Maybe he was
the feet also
the leg body.
No, the leg
double.
The leg
double.
They're like, we can't drag Florence's beautiful legs across the floor.
Yeah, maybe that's it.
They were like, we'll use Harry. No one will notice.
No one will notice.
Even though he's like 6 feet tall, she's like 5'1". No.
Yeah, I would love to know. I don't know. I kind of wish that we had seen more like flashbacky type things.
I think that's what I want more than anything is more answers about their real life and more answers about the other couples like real life.
I also think a plot hole is like how Harry Styles like got the money and all. Like, is it supposed to be that he was saving up this money the whole time and he was secretly doing like a software job? Like, do you know what I mean? So that they could.
I think he probably used her money at the beginning.
My God.
Yeah. But I was gonna say when the new guy comes in and he's admiring Harry's house and he's like, "Is this all from the catalog? Wow, this is amazing. Is this all from the catalog?" Blah 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 blah. I think what it is like you can obviously tell by the houses who has more money because it takes them real money to buy furniture. Yeah. So Bill is like brand new to simulation. He's probably used all of his money to like get the upfront costs or whatever. Yeah. So he's like enamored by the fact that Harry has this beautiful house, which makes me wonder how long Florence herself has been in the simulation. Yeah. Because he has like, I mean, his house is beautiful. Right. Like they have a very established house. It's not like because Bill makes some joke about he just has like a bench with like a record player on it. Yeah. Which sounds like something you would have when you first move in. Right. Yeah. But not something you would have as like a successful person
you need
at
more
the
bells
Victory
for
Project. Yeah. You need way more bells.
So many more bells.
He must have a lot of bells.
Oh my God.
So it does make me wonder like how much that affects.
Tell them your egg theory.
Oh my God.
I love it.
Oh my God. So the first time I saw the movie, the whole time, I mean, it's not very long. The egg scene is pretty, it's in the beginning. But as I'm watching it, I'm like waiting for the eggs because I saw it in the trailer and I was so excited. Because to be fair, I had every spoiler possible before I watched this movie. Because I'm on Twitter a lot. And so I saw just tiny like screen grabs and I was like, well, I'm going to fill in the rest. Like right before I went, the morning I went, I saw a screen shot of like Harry looking smarmy in like a very dirty tank top, like holding Florence Pugh's hand and both their eyes were open. And I was like, it's a simulation. I hate everything. This is the worst day of my life. Anyways, so I was waiting for the eggs because I'd only seen that in the trailer. And my theory, so the whole movie, obviously like everything that's going on is like a schedule, right? Mm-hmm. Like everything the women are doing, they're all on a schedule. Yeah. And so I think at the beginning of the movie, he's like, hey, like she asks something about like a serving size or whatever. And she's like, I'm making tuna salad for Frank's big party where Margaret, then the whole thing happens. Yeah. And he's like, oh, haha, well, Frank hates tuna salad. Like, hate to break it to you, which is funny because Harry's eating so much tuna later in the movie. Yeah. Anyways, he's like, well, Frank hates tuna salad. So like that, was probably a bad idea. And Florence is like, oh, fuck, that was like my centerpiece. And it's like kind of a cute scene because he's like, oh no, your centerpiece. And then he like goes to work. And later on, she's like last minute making deviled eggs instead of tuna salad. Right. And that's when she grabs the eggs and like realizes that they are all fake and she's like
they're all like hollow.
Yeah. They're literally all hollow. They, like, she's just cracking like a dozen of eggs. Yeah. And then I was like, I bet it's because like they do predict to some extent what they're going to be interacting with, what they're going to be using. Yeah. So they were planning, they didn't know she was going to make deviled eggs. They didn't know she was going to use 12 more eggs that day than she normally would. And so like, it was like a flaw in the system. Because I've seen that people are saying that like everything that she's seeing, like the window and everything, like it's all just part of her mind. We're talking about how it's probably Frank.
I thought it was Frank fucking with her. Like I thought it was Chris Pine, the cult leader, being like, because he calls her a worthy adversary, so he's clearly been keeping tabs on what she's doing. Yeah. And also the part where she wraps
her head in
saran wrap.
That was my least favorite part.
It's very uncomfortable to watch, but I also don't understand why that was happening. Is it supposed to be her?
I thought it was supposed to be her, like, seeing if she's real.
That could be. Because she pauses and then starts breathing. And then, you're probably right. And then as soon as she's breathing, she's like, oh my God. And she, like, starts ripping trying to rip the saran wrap off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't think the eggs were him fucking with her. I think the eggs were, like, her brain being like, why is this not lining up?
Oh my God.
And, like, I loved it.
I thought it was like, kind of like when people are like, pinch me, and if it hurts, then I'll wake up.
Yeah.
Like a dream. I thought it was like that, but more extreme.
I also, Morgan and I were talking when Phoebe's in the bathroom. Not right now, but when we were at the store.
Right.
And I was saying that I wonder if I went back and watched it again, I would pay attention to when she starts, like, looking in the mirror and, like, seeing part of, like, the thing that's being projected onto them to, like, help them be hypnotized. Because I wonder if, like, when she sees that in the movie, if it's when Jack is, like, coming in.
Right.
So he's, like, playing that actively, and, like, that's why she's seeing it.
Yeah.
Because she's just self-aware enough that she's, like...
She can hear something in the background.
Like, coming.
Yeah.
So it does make me wonder if, like, because sometimes it's really scary. It's those terrifying ladies. I don't like the ladies.
I don't understand why they're like that.
Why
are their mouths so scary? They're like these weird dancing bathing suit, like, synchronized swimmers is what they're supposed to be. But, like, some of them have this, like, kind of, like, they're very stylized, like, black and white, but with this, like, weird, like, zombie-style-y mouth.
I think what it is like, the actual ladies we see with, like, the legs, with like, when the eyeball thing's happening, obviously that's what she actually sees.
Right.
I think that when, like, it's, like, distorted, I think it's either, like, her being self-aware.
Yeah.
So her brain is like, this is serious, like, something's fucked up.
It's like when you have, like, sleep paralysis.
Or it's like a nightmare where she's literally, like, Harry's, like, plugging in, and she's seeing that, and her brain is like, this is not what it's supposed to be. I don't like that part.
That part where Margaret's
I love it, but I don't like it.
Where Margaret's like, I don't sleep. And then she was like, I'm having nightmares. Do you think she meant she literally cannot physically sleep? Or do you think that she meant that, like, her nightmares are keeping her up?
Because she lists a couple things about, like, things that they actually wouldn't do. Like, once you know they're not once you know they're not in real life, when they're in a simulation, you're like, oh, but you don't. Because she was saying something about not eating or drinking, too, right?
Something like that. Say something like that? I don't know.
Because at that part, watching it a second time, I was like, God. Oh.
Yeah.
I would say, honestly, the most accurate description that I saw was a tweet that says, don't worry, darling, really ask the question, what if Get Out happened to me, a white woman? And they're right. That is kind of what it is. I mean, I do think it was a really good movie, but that is kind of exactly what's happening.
Yeah, I think that's hard to, like, compare those two, because, like, obviously I really like Don't Worry, Darling, and I fucking love Get Out.
Yeah.
I don't think we're, like, the right people to talk about Get Out. I don't think it's necessarily one we do on the podcast, just because, like, nobody really needs to hear what white people have to say about Get Out, but like, it's an incredible film, and if you haven't seen it, you really should watch it. I'm gonna try to bully my mom into watching it, even though she doesn't like horror.
It's so good.
It's so good.
I think that she would.
It's so good. God. There are, like, not in, like, the details, but in, like, the main storyline, there's a lot of similarities for sure, and I think that's, like, what psychological horror is.
Well,
like, it's less like gore and more like existential.
I do feel like Get Out surprised me in a lot of different ways, and I feel like this movie surprised me in that, like, I was like, oh, we're doing Stepford Wives, okay, and then I was like, weird, we're doing Stepford Wives, and then I was like, whoa, and like, literally when it started, it was like 15 minutes, and I leaned over to Hannah, and I was like, this is a simulation. I'm calling it right now. And Hannah can vouch for me that was true.
No, I'm glad that you said it, because I wouldn't have believed you.
Fuck you.
Necessarily if you would have said it later.
There you fucking go.
Which is, I also feel like this has a different conversation. Obviously, Get Out is, like, so important. I love it. I also think it's interesting, though, to have, like, I'm glad it's directed by a woman. Yeah. And it's in the year 2022.
Yeah.
Where they're like, these are men that are so obsessed with these, like, women that they literally are trapping them.
They think they love them, and they love them sucky. Like, they don't love them in a way that's pleasant. Because there are absolutely people who would love to be housewives all day.
Yeah.
Who would love to be, like,
but they're probably choosing all these career-driven women who they feel like they don't have time for them. So, like, I think it's interesting to have, like, a movie where it's literally just about, like, manipulative, basically, husbands. I mean, we don't know that much about Shelley. And then Bunny chose to be there. But I feel like it's interesting to have a movie where it's, like, all about literally them controlling every aspect.
Both of them
life.
are about, like, systemic, like, power imbalances.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Which is, I think,
but only one can we speak to, because we exist as, like,
women adjacent.
Yeah, in the world.
Women perceived people in society. Oh my God. It's just so good. And I think that, like, horror is, like, this is very much like of the time right now, and I really like that about it. Because
I can't wait to watch it in like 5 years.
I feel like this is gonna continue to be scary. I hope that it won't continue to be scary. I hope that like our kiddos will watch this and be like, oh my god, that would never happen. That doesn't make any fucking sense. And right now we watch it and we're like, oh my god, I know men like that, right? Who like would absolutely do that, which is incredibly stressful. I also think it's really interesting that like they did such a good job stylistically of having it be in the, like, it was clearly like 1950s, but there was nothing. I don't know who their set people or prop people were, but there was not a single thing where I was like, I'm pinning it to this year. Like, obviously their cars were really cute, but that's kind of like the only thing that was like,
I felt like the cars were 60s-ish.
I felt like,
and I think that it's supposed to be I think like in the trailer and like when people talk about it, they say it's set in the 50s. I think we're not really supposed to know what year.
It doesn't feel like
we're I don't think Saran Wrap was around in the 50s,
right?
Because it's plastic.
No, I think it is though, because isn't that what they covered up their little Jello bowls with?
No, but I don't know. I don't think it's the same. Like, I think that's like the. Like, I think the cars are like early 50s, and like the records are like really early 50s.
Yeah,
and like the Saran Wrap is like. I thought it was like the early 60s.
I feel like you watch it and you're like, oh, this appears to be timeless. But like the whole time I wasn't like concerned about the time period. And I wish that I had said, oh my God, this is clearly like in present day. And I, literally the 15 minutes and I was like, this is part of the simulation. And like 10 minutes after I was like, oh, there's no way this is a simulation. Yeah. And I'm glad I didn't say that to Hannah.
Yeah, I would have been like, oh my They totally got you. But I am glad they didn't have like, because when we didn't know what the Victory Project was, and obviously we don't know now, but it was definitely just like, you know, the men going to do things.
Right.
Yeah.
I was like, ooh, is this like this is pre-moon, like pre-moon?
I thought it was gonna be aliens.
Is it? Yeah.
How did you think it was gonna be?
No, I hoped it was aliens.
Because I think it's because when we watched American Horror Story double feature.
Oh.
Yeah.
The first bit of that when it's aliens is like the husbands who work for the president being like, we can't talk about this project. I feel like every time people are like, we can't talk about the project, it's always like aliens and or like weapons of mass destruction.
Yeah, that's what true. I thought it was.
Sometimes both.
I thought it was weapons of mass destruction.
And I feel like maybe like all the airplane noises and everything, like I don't know if that was just as a way to I thought that could be
easily explained by like their apartment in real life being by a train or something.
Yeah,
but everyone experiences it though.
Yeah, that's true. When the ladies were sitting in like the mall where they're like charging things to their account, it happens then and all of them grab their drinks. So I would love to know if that's just supposed to be like something that makes it feel more real to them.
Yeah.
Like it makes the women go, oh, because like Peg goes, oh, that means the men are working or whatever, which I'm sure that's what it was for. Is it like to make them think that they're actually there. They're not, you know,
I kind of like
to their bodies.
Oh my God. I kind of like the tone of it being like a software update though. Like I feel like that's like interesting.
Yeah, that
like
could
that's
be
maybe swapping over servers or like something like that. But the whole world crushing to pieces as Florence Pugh is walking out with the blood on her stomach because she's just killed Harry Styles. Yeah. That doesn't really make any sense, I don't think. Unless, like, part of it is supposed to be that, like, the simulation has Tinkerbell disease where, like, if you don't believe in it, it dies.
Yeah.
And, like, that doesn't really...
Maybe, but that doesn't really...
But there's also not a reason for Florence Pugh to have seen Margaret in the dance studio unless, for some reason, the people who are not there, like, consensually... have some kind of like understanding, because the second that Florence Pugh is walking around with Harry's blood on her, and like she's clearly upset and she knows a lot more than anyone else does. All the women, their husbands are like, no, honey, no, it's okay, and all of them are like pulling away from their husbands, like watching her.
They're like, don't touch me.
They don't care about their husbands.
Yeah, it looked like they were gonna walk into the center of that cul-de-sac, and like I thought that like the dome was gonna open up, and then it was gonna be them like waking up essentially. So I thought it was kind of goofy that we had to do the car chase. The car chase was very fun, but I think it's weird that they're like, this is the entrance and exit to the simulation when, I don't know.
Yeah, I felt like that part made the least sense, but also I don't know how they would have explained it otherwise.
Yeah.
I think
like there had to be a distinct exit because otherwise
they could just leave.
Yeah. I do think it makes sense for them to have like a place for the men to go, like an excuse for the men to leave.
Yeah.
Because if they weren't like physically going to work in this time period, like the wives would be like, that's really, if you know, Jack is like, I'm gonna go work from home, and then he just like disattaches from the simulation, like that would be weird. And like the part where the doctor comes in and he's like, hey Jack, don't you need to get back to work? Like that's obviously real Jack who's missing real work,
right?
Because Alice is so sick,
right?
So like that, it makes sense for them to have like a point for them to go to.
Right.
I don't necessarily know why it's like in the middle of the desert. Maybe so that they can't walk to it, but Florence Pugh does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How is it possible for her to walk? And I guess like we could like explain that away by being like, oh, Chris Pine is like, oh, I'm toying with Florence Pugh. So like if she wants to walk for 2 hours in her fucking her little stupid flats. Little ballet flats to.
But I guess she was on the bus. And he was at a turnaround point, so he was like at the security point. He wasn't starting from like the neighborhood.
Is that man a real person?
Because I don't think so.
What about the people who work at the mall? Like, I have a lot of questions.
I don't think any of them are real, and I don't think Dita Von Teese was supposed to be real. I think that's why, like, she's staring at Florence Pugh, and Florence Pugh is like, something feels very. I've seen this before.
It's giving uncanny
and she's like flashing
that's
back
so
to
interesting
the
because
blondes.
I thought that she was supposed to be real
and recognize
really?
her.
Yeah, and not like recognize her, but that like she was like being paid to be there, or she. I actually just recently saw a TikTok where a girl was doing a VR. She was doing like a stripper thing for this girl's birthday party, also in virtual reality. So I think that's like what I was thinking of. And she was
That'd be cool, though.
She was like a man, which was very funny. She's like this big like bulky like dude, and like hopping out of a cake to like literally like do like a, what are they called, like a lap dance on this girl for her birthday. That's really. And then she talked, and she was a girl, which was very funny.
I mean, good for her.
Anyway, I thought it was maybe like that kind of a thing, maybe where like this lady is getting paid to, because this has to be like, I don't know, it also felt very like metaverse-y to me.
Oh,
which
I didn't like that at all.
Kind of hated / loved.
Yeah, that made me...
Fuck metaverse. Not doing that, but like, oh my god.
Yeah.
I would love to know why specifically in that part Florence Pugh's character. I mean, obviously she's going through a lot.
Yeah.
But Alice in that specific scene...
It's also so interesting because she has like tears streaming down her face. She looks like shit, and then as she stands up to go to the bathroom, like she has no tears. She looks like almost normal. Yeah. She's like clearly distraught, but like she appears to be okay otherwise.
Yeah.
It's a really good movie.
It was a good movie.
Yeah, it was good.
I really liked it.
I mean, I obviously have a lot of questions. I'm not mad about having questions.
No.
But I do have a lot. So I do hope they release something where we can like know anything more.
Yeah.
I think the problem is I don't want those questions answered by Olivia Wilde. I want them answered by Florence Pugh and no one else.
Yeah. I want her to do a podcast
where
she says, here's all the changes that they made.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh my god. As Florence Pugh is having a lovely time and Harry Styles is doing some stuff, Morgan fucking leaned over to Hannah and was like, do you think Zach Braff's gonna see this?
Does he need someone to watch it with him?
Are you volunteering?
Zach Braff, if you're watching this.
Zach Braff?
I'll volunteer.
I have absolutely no complaints about Florence Pugh.
No.
She did amazing. I hope she gets... I was literally watching it and I was like, if she gets an Oscar, I'm very curious about what her acceptance speech would be.
Yup. Yeah. Listen, the drama. Too much drama. I feel like maybe the internet...
I'm worried, darling.
I think it's gone too far. Yeah.
I think, yeah. I hope that there's not that many people who are seeing it just because of the drama, but I guess that's the reason that you see it then, like, go off. But I also feel like that movie, like Florence Pugh, she's right that her performance is like so much more important than her sex scenes, and it's way more important than the drama.
Yeah,
because it's amazing.
Oh my god, it was just so good, and I just really like went into it. Everybody was like, Olivia Wilde's directing it, so it's not very good, and like there's not a lot of substance to it. And like Harry Styles does a terrible job, and you're right. Yeah, and it's good. I liked it. I thought that it was very stylistically fun. I thought that it had very compelling stories, and I liked the characters.
Yeah.
Any other final thoughts, team?
I don't think so.
All right, cool. Segue. Check out Baby Scan Embroidery. The links in the description to get a very sweet little embroidery from Rosie, if that's something you're into. And if you would like to be featured in the podcast as like a little advertisement for us, we're doing like sliding scale, like $20 to like $50, $100. I don't know. Whatever seems fair. And we've also started doing like sliding scale ad stuff for like TikToks and other things as well. So anyway, if you're a small business and you want to work with us, reach out. It's BHOEVEM@gmail.com. Okay. We love you all so much. Yeah. Have a good day.
That's it.
Don't be worried, darling.
Don't be worried, darling. And I hope that your day is better than Florence Pugh's in every movie she's ever been in.
Yeah.
Okay, love you. Bye.